Hi there from me, Brent Graham, and welcome to the Stage 8 betting preview of the Tour de France. A reminder that World Sports Betting are running a refund on second place promotion throughout the course of the Tour de France, and you can check out the terms and conditions on their site. Let's get straight into the action, though. We'll talk about what happened in Stage 7. Just a reminder, though, if you do enjoy the show, hit the subscribe button and give us a like. It really does help the channel a lot. Also, for those of you who enjoy your betting on other sports, and in particular rugby, join our free weekly Good for the Game betting newsletter, where we come out each week with a best bet and a 10 to 1 or better accumulator. Right, let's get into the action and talk about what happened in Stage 7. We got the sprint finish we were expecting. There was very little action early on in the stage. I was watching Ashes most of the day, but I tuned over to watch the break, and it was quite fascinating to see four guys break clear. Became the bunch were more than happy to sort of let them go at that point, and one by one they all fell back by one rider. And the directors were basically saying there's no chance that we're not going to have a sprint finish in the stage. Don't waste your energy. But it really was. I'm not sure that I've ever seen that happen before. We had one lone rider out there, and eventually after the intermediate sprint, we had a couple joining up with him. And in the end, it was Nance Peters and Pierre Latour who at least ensured we got a bit of excitement over the sort of final third of the stage. But they were chased down fairly comfortably in the end. And it was Jasper Philipsen who we backed at even money to win the stage who got up. And just to comment on that, Jasper Philipsen was even money at World Sports Betting. I backed him there with the second place promo as insurance. Fortunately, in this case, it wasn't needed. But I did notice afterwards it was 12 to 10 on Philipsen elsewhere. And the question is, would I take the 12 to 10 or the even money? I would take the even money, because that insurance in a race like this, where you know it's going to be a sprint finish, is very, very important. Philipsen could easily have been pipped into second place and I would have got my money back, whereas had I taken the bigger price, I wouldn't. That wouldn't necessarily apply to all bets. If I'm backing someone at 50 to 1 and I can get 66 to 1 somewhere else, I'd rather stick my bet on at 66 to 1 and rather just lose if the guy runs second, because there you're talking about very small stakes and big differences in your win. Right, that's that out of the way. The finish itself was interesting in that Cavendish at one stage looked like he had it won. He came from quite far back and he burst through. And I must say, even though I was on Philipsen, I was shouting for Cavendish to get that magical 35th win. In the end, that looked like he'd gone too soon, although afterwards it's emerged that he had some problems with his gearing, and that might well have cost him that 35th win. But anyway, Philipsen was on the left-hand side. Cavendish came through from behind on the right. Philipsen saw him and he darted across. And there's no doubt that he interfered with Gamay, who ran third. I've been following Gamay on this tour, and he hasn't done much, but he looked a hell of a lot better today. But no doubt his run was impeded by Philipsen. But I was quite surprised. There was no real race review as such that I could tell. And Philipsen was awarded the stage, unlike the other day where he had to sweat it out quite a bit. And Gamay was certainly hard done by there. Should Philipsen have been relegated? That's my first question of the day. I've watched it a couple of times on YouTube, and I think at the end of the day, the right decision was made. Gamay wasn't quite on Cavendish's wheel when he came by. So when Philipsen moved across, he potentially didn't see, that he was going to cut Gamay the way he did. And ultimately, as a sprinter, you're going to grab the guy's wheel who comes past. So, yeah, I also, for two other reasons, was quite happy the results stood. The first was the bet, of course. And the second is I want Cavendish to get the 35th win. I really do. I hope my money's on him when he does. But even if it isn't, I'm happy for him to get that win. But I want him to do it with his arms in the air. I don't want him to get given it in a relegation type situation afterwards. So at the end of the day, I'm quite pleased the results stood there. Anyway, we've got a quick look at the outright betting. Just before we move on to the stage, we've got Jonas Vingegaard, who's shortened from 9 to 10 to 7 to 10 overnight, which is quite interesting because nothing, of course, has happened in the yellow jersey race. Pogacar has gone out slightly to 5 to 4. What that tells me is potentially punters feel that maybe there was a bit of an overreaction to the Pogacar win, and Vingegaard has shortened in a bit. He's still got a lot going in his favour there. Only other market I really want to look at here is the King of the Mountains, which is Pogacar's 11 to 4 for the King of the Mountains. This is quite interesting. I mean, Felix Gall, for example, still with a chance. Paulus, I don't think he's going to be strong enough to take it through in the third week, but certainly a few permutations there, and always an interesting market. I'm not going to bring up the green jersey betting. Philipsen is 1 to 5 for that at the moment, but I will ask this question. Let me know what you feel down below in the comments or tweet me or whatever. But is this new green jersey a flop? Philipsen was wearing it today. And one thing about past Tour de France is I always look for that green jersey. I'm battling to pick up this green jersey. It's quite a nice looking jersey, but it doesn't stand out for me. And I mean, I looked today, I found Mateo van der Poel, and I knew that Philipsen would be behind him, and it was, yeah, then I could see the green jersey. But it doesn't stand out the way the green jersey should stand out, in my opinion. I'm interested in anybody else's views on that as to whether they should rather go back to the old green jersey. Right, let's get on to stage 8 now. We've got a 200.7 kilometer stage, which looks fairly flat. You'll see the betting as well. They are expecting a sprint finish, but the final third of the stage has got some hills in it. But so we could have, it may not be as straightforward as certainly the betting suggests. I do expect a break to go away, but I don't think it's going to be particularly strong. It would certainly make it interesting if there were a few strong riders and maybe 6 or 7 strong break got away. But I think there's too many sprinted teams that are going to want to keep this together. Teams like Trek, for example, that Mads Pedersen hasn't really got going in this tour yet. I mean, this looks like a perfect finish for him. And there's a few, including Philipsen's team and even his teammate, and we'll talk about that now when we look at the betting, Mateo van der Poel. There's too many teams that will want to pull this back. But look at this final third. It starts with a sort of a 2.8 kilometer climb here at 5.2%. And then it's very bumpy along here. And if the pace is on, it's going to be quite tough for the heavier sprinters to stay in there. And some of the sprinters who've maybe taken a bit of strain over the mountains, guys like Cavendish himself and Jakobsen, who isn't looking very good at all. So it's going to be interesting to see how they go. We've got another Cat 4 climb here. And then going into the last sort of 10 kilometers, we've got 1.2 kilometers at 5.4%. And that is going to be ridden very hard. I've got absolutely no doubt about that. The final kilometer also rises to the line, and this is quite important. We've got about a 3.8 to 4% rise over the last kilometer, and that means it's quite a tough sprint. I mean, a kilometer at that sort of gradient, it's not enough to necessarily drop a guy like Philipsen, who's pretty strong on an uphill sprint, but it's long enough and steep enough that it's really going to make it a tough man sprint, if I can put it that way. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what happens there. In my view, we'll get a break, probably 4 or 5 riders that will go away, and they'll be brought back fairly soon. But what's going to be interesting is how this final third is ridden. And I actually think we're going to get it ridden very hard, because even the likes of Trek, for example, are going to want to ride hard to try and even potentially put Philipsen off, but also the likes of Cavendish and Jakobsen, just get rid of them. But the man I think he's targeting the stage, and he's my bet for the stage as well, is Wout van Aert. And we see the Jumbo-Visma team, they do sit on the front at the end of stages anyway to protect Jonas Vingegaard. I think they're going to go absolutely crazy. I think in the last 25 kilometers, Jumbo-Visma are going to sit on the front, and they're absolutely going to pound away. And any sprinter who's not feeling 100% is going to be put into great difficulty then. And their intention will be to bring Wout van Aert into that final kilometer, sitting second or third wheel, probably third wheel. And we're going to have Laporte as his final lead out, and they're going to look to set up the sprint finish for him. So let's have a look at the betting on the stage, and you'll see what the market is saying at this stage. I've opened up the wrong market. No, I've got the right market there. Philipsen is the favorite at 11-4. He's looking almost unbeatable. He's won 3 in a row now as far as straight sprints go. But I'm not sure this one's going to be as simple. So he's the 11-4 market leader. Wout van Aert, he's my 4-1 pick, and we can bring up the first bet now. I'm going 2 units on Wout van Aert. I've explained why. I think he's targeting this, and I think his team are going to ride to position him there. He is a very, very strong rider. He seems to be getting, to me, stronger as the tour goes on. He's going to be very, very hard to beat in the sprint. I'm going 4-1. We've got the money back for second place promo there as well. Just be careful if you've collected recently on the second place promo. Make sure when you place your bet the next day, you don't use your bonus funds, because you cannot use a bonus to win a bonus. Okay, you can't do that. So make sure you pick it from your actual cash wallet to place the bet. So I'm going 2 units Van Aert there. Just looking further down the betting boards, you've got Mateo van der Poel at 6-1. Now, this is interesting because he, of course, is Philipsen's lead out. So you've got a favorite at 11-4, and then the third favorite at 6-1 is a teammate. Bookies are hedging their bets a little bit. Yeah, they don't really know how this is going to turn out. What the betting tells us is Philipsen's probably going to sprint for the stage, but there is a chance, a very small chance, he gets ridden off. There's also a chance that the team say, right, Philipsen, you've had this great support from Van der Poel, but this finish is more suited to Mateo van der Poel. And maybe he sprints for the stage. So he's 6-1. So lots for punters to think about in this one. Caleb Ewan, he's a hell of a quick sprinter on the flats, but he likes a rising sprint as well. Maybe not as long as this one. A kilometer might be getting a bit to the sharp end for him. Well, it might be a bit tough for him. But he's 9-1, definitely got a chance. And then the man who showed good legs today, Biniam Gourmet, he is a tough sprinter, and these are the sort of stages that he would potentially be able to target. Same with Mats Pedersen, not as fast as some of the really quick guys on the flats, but he can sprint uphill, and the same could be said for Brian Cockard. So I'm actually placing 2 more bets on the stage in the win market. I'm going half a unit on Gourmet at 11-1 and half a unit on Cockard at 18-1. They'll also, taking them with World Sport betting, I'll also get my money back in the event that they race second. But that's it as far as the stage goes. I'm quite confident on Wout van Aert. I am expecting, and I'm recording this now, and I'll post it straight afterwards, at around about 20-11 on a Friday night. Hell, I've got a great social life that I'm recording a Tour de France preview at this time. But anyway, I'm recording it then. I'm expecting the 4-1 Wout van Aert to shorten, and I am expecting Jasper Philipsen to drift in the betting. But let's have a look here at the match plays. This is, of course, one rider to beat another rider over the stage. And here I've got a bet I really like. I have been made to look a bit silly sometimes in this Tour de France, and at the risk of doing it again, I'm going 2 units, Caleb Ewan to beat Philipsen at 7-4. Now, first up, I think Caleb Ewan is capable of beating Philipsen in a sprint like this. You'll recall the other day he went very close to Philipsen, and on this uphill finish, Caleb Ewan, I think it would be a bit of an equalizer for me. So he can beat him in a straight heads-up sprint. Throw in the fact that Mathieu van der Poel might be the chosen sprinter for the team, and all of a sudden, Caleb Ewan's almost definitely going to beat Philipsen. So I think 7-4 about Philipsen to go down against Caleb Ewan. So Ewan to beat Philipsen is a cracking bet. Anyway, I thought this would be a hell of a short preview, but I've talked quite a bit. It should actually be quite an exciting stage. I'm looking forward to it. I'll be jumping between the Ashes and, of course, preparing for the rugby as well. Join me on a late Saturday night or early Sunday morning. I'll be out with Sunday's 9th stage, and then after that, the riders get a deserved rest day. But look forward to that one, and let's hope we can turn some profits in stage number